was like, come on, I'll do it. So in my heels, off I went to deliver the vans myself. A few funny faces when I got out in my high heels, but yeah, I'll give it a go.
I love that. I remember a long time ago there was a Maserati PR, and she used to deliver Maseratis to journalists test driving, and she was Italian and incredibly chic, and she always got out the car, legs first, these really long legs with a pair of 20-inch high stilettos at the end of them. I was like, that's my woman. I love it. Hello and welcome to Women in the Driving Seat, the podcast that takes the time to shine a spotlight on the wonderful women in automotive. This week we're going to be talking about growing talent and making connections. But first, the bios. Sam Ward. Samantha Ward, who is known as Sam, much to the annoyance of her nan, is 44, a wife and mum to 2 boys and a rabbit named Rambo. She's spent the last 23 years in the automotive industry, although that was never really the plan, she says. After university, she joined the AA in a sales role, and 12 years later, she had progressed to a training and development role. When the company relocated from Cardiff to Newcastle, she joined VansDirect, acquired by Virtue Motors Group in 2019. Approaching a decade with VansDirect, she's had 7 different roles within the business, and today is commercial director. Outside of work, she has 2 boys aged 11 and 19 and spends her time driving them to boxing, football and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. She loves good food or planning her next holiday and recently discovered yoga. She says, I'm not flexible at all, but love it anyway. It's taught me that it's never too late to try something new, even if you wobble your way through it. That could be our catchphrase for the podcast series, I feel, going forwards. We'll come back to that. Yin Noe. Yin is the COO of RankBee, helping companies increase their visibility in AI search results, ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity and more. She was recognised by the Financial Times, Google and Accelerate Her, featuring in the top 50 most inspiring women in tech. Previously, she led UK and EU operations for China's largest automotive alliance and built ventures across fintech and clean tech. Outside of her main role, Yin is a TEDx speaker and helps to mentor startups and organise funding events as an associate for the Gandhi Centre for Inclusive Innovation for mission-driven companies that create social impact. She is also a food critic and social media content creator, specialising in food and restaurant videography, with her videos surpassing 1 million views. That is a varied CV. I like it. Okay, welcome both. Thank you very much for coming here.
Thank you.
Today is Tube Strike Day. Whoop, whoop. But you're both here. So well done. Right, let's delve straight into it. Yin, let's start with you. What plates have you been spinning and what balls have you been dropping this week?
So next week, we have a big gaming conference, and that's a really big, exciting vertical for us in the AI optimization space. So it's all in Lisbon. So it's my first time just sort of preparing, outreach, etc. So that's just been like my busy to-do list this week.
And anything in particular, any balls been dropped, any appointments you've missed, anything you were late for, anything gone disastrously wrong in your life?
Other than the lack of sleep, just juggling everything, but trying my best to stay afloat. So yeah.
What counts as a lack of sleep for you? How many hours do you get a night?
Last night I got 4, but it's okay. I'll catch up on the weekend. It's fine.
I had a sense that was going to be the answer. I mean, I would just cancel everything if I had 4 hours sleep. But anyway, okay. And Sam, what about you? What have you been spinning and dropping this week?
Well, September's always a busy month in our industry. Over the last week, we've had visits from manufacturers, suppliers and funders, which is always great. It's always great to catch up and an opportunity to get some vans on site and some training for the team. On a personal note, September's also back to school. So my youngest son, Jacob, who's 11, started high school. So that's been a bit of a transition for him.
For you and him.
Oh, I was going to say also for us, yeah, because all of a sudden there's no school drop-offs, pickups. He's walking with his friends, and there's this real sense of independence. Bit of bliss, yeah. And I think that we've been through this before with our eldest son, Joseph, who's now 19, but we'll soon get used to the routine, I'm sure. But in terms of what balls have I been dropping, with the school, there are so many apps that you need to download. There's one for behaviour, one for attendance, then there's an app to download money for their cards, for their dinners and what have you. So I need to get on top of all of that.
Or just let it all go. Have you already muted the parents' WhatsApp group? Because I did for both my sons.
Not yet, because I just don't feel organised yet. Once I'm organised, that'll be muted. Yeah. But no, at the minute, I rely on those mums and dads.
Oh, fair enough. Okie day. Okay, Yeah, you're back in firmly in AI, but you have been very much in automotive for a while. And I'm intrigued by this idea of you bringing East and West together. You know, it could not be more salient at the moment with everything that's going on in the world in terms of geopolitics. Let's not even go there. But China and Europe, you know, what does that mean? What did that mean in automotive in practice for you? Introducing key contacts to each other, or is it a deeper understanding?
So there was a lot of interest from both sides. And however, in terms of sort of negotiating sort of discussions, a lot of the big decision makers, they don't speak English. So there needs to be some sort of facilitator, or in this case, our alliance, to help bridge that gap. And especially because our alliance was first formed to promote electrification within China, but they knew that because of how EVs were taking afar, they wanted to expand. So how do we, facilitate these conversations, but also directly with the key decision makers? And that's where, we set up a head office about 3 years ago. And we helped, for example, companies like Autotrader and other OEMs or after sales providers to actually have these conversations, and us as a mediator, and also training them in how to bridge that sort of Chinese way of business, which is very different to Western way of business.
Yeah, can you explain a bit about that? Where are the differences? How does it work?
So there's a term in China called guangxi, which basically means relationships. And that basically means that we want to build a friendship, or to assess trustworthiness, to assess your values, because if I trust you and if I know your values, I can do business with you, and a handshake is all it's needed to solidify that business relationship. So it's not about, forcefully selling at the beginning, or just, it's about getting to know each other. And that's why, let's say, conferences, sort of formal dinners, that kind of long personal relationship building is the key to have a very fruitful relationship with the Chinese OEMs. Because once you have that, that's like a relationship for life.
So does that mean that, anyone expecting to go over to China in a week and start negotiating a deal, it's kind of not going to happen, because you need to go over for a month and just, as you say, spend your time building up relationships before you should even open a conversation about a deal?
As well as the Chinese firewall, it's not easy to contact, these certain sort of key decision makers, or even sort of more mid-level staff, because they're not on LinkedIn. They don't have WhatsApp, it's blocked. So their communication is mostly WeChat. And you kind of need to build a face-to-face relationship. I think what we struggled with in the beginning that we quickly changed is that even if we try to book meetings on Zoom or Microsoft Teams with the UK counterparts, with the Chinese, the decision makers, they feel so uncomfortable speaking English. It's not their first language, so it's not very. It wasn't very efficient, basically. So we had found out a way that we were going to bring the delegates to China, have them tour different cities, and that kind of not only the day events but the evening events, which were even more important, to kind of talk over dinner and talk over personal life and build that relationship. That was sort of the key, the piece de resistance for us.
Right. And that, I was thinking about, for example, in automotive at the moment, if we think about big Chinese companies, BYD is probably right up there. It's had phenomenal success in terms of market share in the UK since it landed. And obviously you've got Stella Lee sitting right at the top of BYD. She's a woman. So that, I was thinking about we have a huge gender gap in automotive in Europe. Are there many women in board level and senior positions in automotive in China, and if so, is that a reflection of wider Chinese society? Do you think it is more there's more equality between two genders in China than over here in business?
I would say that it's moving towards a positive direction. I think it's still, even here, I would say it's still miles that we need to do.
Yeah.
But I do think that it's moving forward, just like with the example with Stella, 100%. Yeah.
And of course, you took a couple of our guys out, didn't you? Facilitated their trip out of China last year, and it kind of centered around the auto show, but it was a much longer trip, wasn't it?
Yes.
What was the bare bones of that schedule you didn't stay in one place, did you?
Yeah, it was definitely action-packed, to say the least. We started off in Shenzhen to visit BYD. So Charles and Ian had come over first there, and then we went to Hangzhou, which is where our alliance is headquartered, and also the headquarters for Geely Group as well. And we sort of went through all different types of OEMs. So not only visiting the offices, but also the manufacturing space, seeing how let's say battery chassis works, looking at battery swapping technology, also looking at the latest, autonomous vehicles that are taking over China, even looking at camper vans and trailers and how insanely luxurious that they are, and they're only like 15, 20 grand, pounds converted there. So it was like a very eye-opening experience, to say the least, for them, and even for myself as well.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah. Interesting. Thank you. Sam, coming back to you. We're talking this episode about connections, building connections, also developing skills and training people, because it's kind of a bit of a circular economy. It's all part of, I keep trying to explain to my kids, your career is not going to depend solely or even half on your academic success. It's all going to be about building connections, training yourself up, getting the skills once you're out there in the workplace. So to kind of scoot back to the beginning of that equation, you've got a background in training people. How do you train to train people? What's training people really all about at its core?
Well, in order to become a trainer, you need to master your subject, but there is a lot more to it than that. You need to understand how adults learn. You need to have strong communication skills and also how to engage a room. So when I was at the AA and I first moved into a training role, I was really fortunate that I was surrounded by an experienced group of trainers. So I would observe them, and then I would practice myself in sort of less pressured, smaller settings. And it's like everything, the more you do it, the better you become. The AA put me through my certificate in training practice, which equips you with all of the skills you need to design, deliver, and evaluate training. But nothing beats that first-hand experience, and feedback is key. You quickly learn what works and what doesn't quite work by reflecting and adapting. But it's not just about delivering content as a trainer. You really need to be able to create a safe, interactive environment where people feel empowered to learn.
What do you think are the personal qualities that you need to be a good trainer? And also, I suppose that leads on to as well, what personal qualities, it must be a bit like, walking in to look at a house when you're in the mood for moving house, immediately if it's the right one or not. I feel like maybe this is my take on training people. I'd be in a room full of people that I was meant to be training, and within 5 seconds I'd think, nah, I can't train you. And somebody else, you think, yeah, you've got it, you've got that spark. So what are all the personal qualities on both sides of the equation?
Well, you need to have empathy. You need to understand your learners. You need patience.
That could be where I fall down.
In order to let people learn at their own pace. I know I mentioned earlier, but really you do need effective communication skills. But like I say, it's not just about delivering that content. It's about the personal qualities you bring. You need to be adaptable, because let's face it, not everything goes to plan. And you just need a desire to learn and a passion to help support others.
Yeah. Do you see, I can't get over, I keep saying to my boys, eye contact, eye contact, eye contact. Whether you are leading a high-powered delegation in China and trying to build global alliances, or you're trying to train a guy across the desk from you at the AA, I think eye contact is just crucial.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's got to be a balance, because it could get a bit creepy if you're just staring at somebody. But yeah, absolutely. But it's funny that you've said that, because I have noticed, and I don't know whether it's just a particular age group, but I do find a lot of people do struggle with eye contact.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. It is so important.
Yeah. I mean, what are from your point of view, when you were out there, have been out there in China, or actually even in the UK, and you're dealing with senior executives at any level, there's still some basics, aren't there, about person to person, how you create those connections?
There's a very specific sort of training that I did for the delegates coming. So it's a matter of, like, when you enter the room, you have to address the most senior person first. Like, you don't address anyone below that, because that's a sign of big disrespect in that sense. And also, there's a kind of, in China, there's like a slight bow that you have to do. So when you shake their hands, it has to be a very firm handshake, a slight bow, and then passing on business cards almost immediately. So it's a bit of a different, let's say, order of things. Yeah, like, I would say that's like the first kind of rule of thumb here.
Interesting. Yeah. It's slightly worrying because it proves how quickly it can potentially go wrong. Maybe that's just me. And then sticking on automotive for a moment, and then we'll come on to AI. In terms of advising on alliances, what areas of automotive then were you did you get into?
So it was more about facilitating, let's say, new Chinese entrants to figure out what kind of, let's say, after sales providers, also clients that they could, like fleet clients that they could sell to, working with different sort of vehicle solutions. So having that kind of starting point or plan of action that we can present to them so that when they launch and come here, it will be smooth sailing. So for example, we helped with Geely Horizon. So that is Geely's only commercial vehicle line, and they just, or at the end of this year, launching the electric van. And we were sort of advising them about who to best talk to. These are the best players in the market that are doing great at, for example, online marketplace, like Autotrader, for example. These are the people that you should be speaking to and who you should be speaking to. So we helped to connect the team there from China to here.
And what, the $24 million question, I suppose, for you, well, no, not for you, we've all got to look at it and answer it, but what do you think about this notion that, Chinese car brands are going to wipe out European legacy car brands? Is there plenty of room in the UK market for both for the next 20 years? Do you see the prevalence of one over the other?
I definitely see, like a coexisting relationship. I think both, Western vehicles, they provide sort of that trustworthy element, that legacy, and they have amazing cars and great design. And I think China also offers like a lot of innovation, affordability. So I see a world where both exist. And I think that's where, we have different solutions for different needs. So I think that's how I see the next 10 years, that there'll be, a mixture of, Chinese vehicles and also the German or Japanese, etc. players in the market.
Great. Well, it is time, I know you're both extremely excited about this, for Podcast Pit Stop, where we ask quick fire round. You haven't seen the questions, no sitting on the fence, no prevaricating. Neither of you strike me as prevaricating people, so we'll be okay. Sam, we're going to start with you.
Ooh, okay.
Are you ready? People person or go it alone?
People.
Ford Transit or Mercedes Sprinter?
Transit.
The green grass of home or mountain high, valley low?
Green grass of home.
Naturally. Apprenticeship or degree?
Apprenticeship.
Pizza or pasta?
Pizza.
Pool or sea?
Sea.
Nice. There you go. See? Wasn't too painful. Yin, are you ready?
Ready.
Work or leisure?
I would leisure.
Okay. Well done. Travel or stay home?
Travel.
Science or art?
Science.
Tariffs or free trade?
Free trade.
Automotive or tech industries?
Tech. Because it crosses automotive, so.
Well, that segues nicely back into the questions and into your work with AI. So, AI, this could not be a more crucial subject at the moment. Everyone is scrambling, especially companies, to kind of understand where the benefits lie for them, what they need to onboard, how they need to skill up, where the competition is going. Talk to us a bit about your work with AI and increasing search results. Where is AI taking us or you?
So, the last year and a half, people have been moving more towards searching on ChatGPT. It's more asking ChatGPT very long form questions. And I think by end of last year, there was 500 million active users on ChatGPT. And when it comes to anything from work, editing emails or, asking for gift advice or, also relationship advice, everyone kind of have found a comfort in ChatGPT. And also with the rise of ChatGPT shopping and other AI players having product feeds embedded inside the answers, it's a great way for customers to discover brands, and that could be anything from, yeah, like I said, like looking for the best blazer that is of this price range, available in the UK, or it could be I'm looking for a tax consulting services in Luxembourg. So we help companies gain that visibility because SEO, which is just based on keywords, is so different. AI understands the meaning behind, so it's looking at certain attributes. So if I look for a family car, I'm looking at spacious interior, economy, things like that. So the AI has a brain that we need to kind of sort of connect your website and AI together to make sure that your product gets pushed out in its best way.
It's funny, isn't it? Because I'm beginning to think that one's take on AI depends on how your life butts up against it, because I was just thinking about last night, my GCSE son is doing some coursework for English, and he was meant to have studied Macbeth. Of course, he hasn't read the play, and he had to write a thing for his teacher on a moment of poignant tragedy in Macbeth. So he just asked ChatGPT, and I'm like, come on. I said, no, I'm going to get my copy of Macbeth. We're going to actually look at the printed version and find it on a page. And he just looked at me like I was mad. So I've got this kind of, I don't know, is it a force for good? Where are we headed? What are the checks and balances on it? But do you feel quite optimistic about it?
I do feel that, it's both almost a blessing and a curse. Like, I do see, like, it can promote laziness, less, of our own personal thinking. We just sort of ask ChatGPT or Gemini, and let it almost think for us. But I do think that AI has given us so much, fast forward technology. So I do think that we have to just be careful with, for example, with our children, how much we limit the use of AI. I know that schools are cracking down on detecting, ChatGPT essays and all these things. So I think there needs to be more stricter measures in place. But I do think that I definitely promote the use of AI in certain boundaries.
Yeah, in corporate settings for sure. Sam, let's get back to the manual analog side of things and vans, which actually obviously are becoming majorly software enabled, but I still like to think about sitting in a van and changing gear. Do you drive many vans?
Do you know,
I'm looking at your high heels as I say that.
In these heels as well. So yeah, because we're online, so we very rarely have vehicles on site. But when we do have vans on site, I'll always take the opportunity to drive a van. So you mentioned Verizon then. I was driving the new Verizon van recently.
Were you?
Yeah, I'll take it home if we get any pickups or any vans really. I just think it's nothing like trying the product for yourself. And then of course, when you're talking to customers or you're talking to suppliers or manufacturers, you've actually been hands-on with that vehicle. And I was telling you earlier about we had some vehicles on site, some L4, so extra long wheelbase chassis vehicles, and we needed to deliver them about 40 minutes from the office. Some of the guys were happy to jump in and help, but some were like, I'm not driving that, it's too long. I was like, come on, I'll do it. So in my heels, off I went to deliver the vans myself. A few funny faces when I got out in my high heels, but yeah, I'll give it a go.
I love that. I remember a long time ago there was a Maserati PR, and she used to deliver Maseratis to journalists test driving, and she was Italian and incredibly chic, and she always got out the car, legs first, these really long legs with a pair of 20-inch high stilettos at the end of them. I was like, that's my woman. I love it. Going back to electric vans and Verizon and so on, what do you think about electric vans?
I think that, the market in general at the minute, the van market, there is a bumpy road. And I think that...
Why? Because of price and range, or...?
Yeah, I think we're at a bit of a crossroads, because I think if on one hand, you've got soft sales, consumer confidence is low, businesses are holding on to vehicles for longer than they would ordinarily, and the shift to electric has slowed due to some uncertainty and also infrastructure bottlenecks. But then on the other hand, technology is improving fast, and there is, the investment in electric and infrastructure. So I think there's some real opportunities out there as well as challenges ahead. But I definitely think there's a place for electric. I'm driving hybrid myself at the minute because I wanted to dip my toe in it.
Like a plug-in hybrid?
Yes, the plug-in hybrid. The electric vans that I've driven, I'm really impressed with, and the range is getting better. I think it's just that uncertainty when it comes to the downtime. I mean, my husband's a builder, and I've spoken to him about electric because there's some really good deals that you can get at the minute. But he said I just couldn't afford to have the builders, you know, off the tools and charging. So I think there's a lot of work to be done, but definitely opportunities. And there's some really good contenders coming through the market now.
What do you like about driving an electric van?
I love the comfort. So I think that it's very car-like. I mean, the style, I mean, the Horizon in particular is quite trendy and modern, and it's got all the mod cons. I do like driving electric.
Are there many women in the world of vans these days in the UK?
I mean...
In the industry?
In the industry, we are in the minority. But if I just think about where I work, so at VansDirect, 51% of our team are female. So really? I am surrounded by, you know, some incredible women and men.
Big up for VansDirect then.
Yeah. I think it might be the fact that we run like a contact centre type environment. So there's lots of different departments within our business. So there's a real variety of what roles are offered. I mean, I think about myself. If you ever told me that one day I'd be as excited as I am right now about vans, I would never believe you. But here I am almost 10 years in.
I love that though, don't you? All these wiggly routes that our careers take us. You know, you said you didn't even think you'd stick around in automotive. Here you are 25 years later. And not only that, but vans. Like, what?
I know, absolutely. And I think that, you know, what is offered me is real variety. I mean, I've been 10 years, 7 different roles. And I know that's a lot to do with me as a person, because the type of person that I am, I'm constantly looking to learn and grow and develop. But what VansDirect and Virtue and the van industry has offered me is a career path. And I don't think there's enough noise out there about that. Right. And if I think about Virtue as a wider business, there's a lot of women that I work with as well, you know, within Virtue. So I am fortunate.
Yeah. What do you think are the main challenges if we step outside electric, just to look at the van industry in the next decade? I mean, what are the main challenges and headwinds? Is it all around electric?
It's not all around electric. That's going to be a big part of it. But I think, as I mentioned earlier, consumer confidence is low at the minute because there's a lot of uncertainty with interest rates and what have you. And I think people are tightening up with what they're buying. And if they can get another 6 months or year out of their current vehicle, they are. But then that's a job for us to do then, to understand, to talk to the customer and get them to understand then the cost implications of perhaps running a vehicle for longer than is the norm.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm struck by the fact that, Sam she's been involved in training, she's working in a big team, she's surrounded by people, and it feels, and I might be wrong, that you've had a slightly more solitary career to date. Would that be right? And do you mind that? Do you quite like being a kind of team of one, jetting around the globe on your own? Or do you sometimes think, I just want to be part of a team?
Let's say that for the last 2-3 startups before I joined automotive, it was either as a solo founder or as like a 2-3 person max team. So I feel like I almost got used to it in a way. My business partner in automotive as well, we had a small team here in the UK, but it was more contractors. But my business partner who, she traveled to China a lot. So we were quite sort of, like a dream team, but we had our base. One had a base here, one had a base there. And I just feel like you just have to get used to it. But what has helped so much is I would say the automotive community is just amazing. Seeing, there is a lot of us, but there's also not a lot of us, like the ones that go to conferences. And I feel that, every time you see them, they're always so welcoming and they make you feel like a family. So when I would travel to Leeds or anywhere, I would recognize people, and I just sort of felt like, I don't feel alone because I know that I'll see someone that I know there.
You're so right about the automotive industry. It is, this massive global industry, and yet sometimes it feels very small, doesn't it? Like a village, not a city. I think that's a really good point you've made there. What then about your work-life balance? Because, I know I used to travel an awful lot and then I've scaled right back on it. But the travel element of a global role alone impacts on your work-life balance, doesn't it?
Well, I would say for both here in UK, Europe and in China, I really relied on, I felt, the evening events or like the social networking events. So for me, I felt that work and leisure kind of was almost like a gray area because I was having fun speaking to colleagues. We did a big trip with the Chinese government to Dubai, and we did the sand buggies together, and it was just like getting to know them. So it was it was meetings all day, but in the evening it was again meetings, but done in a very more relaxed setting. So I really enjoyed it. Like I felt like work-life balance. It might have seemed that I was just working 12 plus hours, but it didn't feel like that to me sometimes. So yeah, sometimes it does, but sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you both very much. It's our last question already, which is around life lessons. Sam, what's been the best life lesson you've learned so far in your career?
It's okay to say no. So I've been guilty in the past of saying yes too much and taking too much on, but I really now ensure that my focus aligns with my priorities. And I've learned that sometimes saying no is sometimes the best way of saying yes to yourself.
Oh, I like that. Neat. Thank you. Yin, what about you?
So it's based off my TED Talk, which I've talked about, but I have 3 pillars in life, which is focusing on opportunity, preparation, and visibility. Opportunity meaning don't be afraid to speak to, someone that maybe is not directly related to what you're doing now, but you never know what that person could be in the future. So always invest in relationships rather than trying to let's say sign contracts immediately. With preparation, always be learning. You never know where like those skills could help you. I was so scared of public speaking, and I would put myself out there, even though it was super challenging, but that helped me to be where I am today. And then the last bit is visibility. So it's about, putting yourself out there. If you feel scared to go to conferences because you're the only one there, then, why? Just face your fears. Just go. Just being yourself out there will bring you so many more opportunities than just staying at home. So that's my 3 life lessons.
You heard it here first. I love it. Thanks, guys. It's been a really great one today.
Thank you.
Thank you to everyone for listening and watching. Please do subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.